The good old hot take. The necessary evil of the sports world. Through the good ones, the bad ones, and the downright atrocious ones, we once again find ourselves racking our brains trying to figure out how some people come up with this nonsense. But today, I've done the brain racking for you and found some of the hottest NBA takes on the internet. So, buckle up. This may be a bumpy ride. Today's video is brought to you by SeatGeek. With the NBA season quickly coming to a close, don't miss out on seeing your favorite team live and in person. And SeatGeek is here to get you in on the action. Check this out. Just download the SeatGeek app and use the promo code JXMY to get $20 off your first order. SeatGeek makes buying tickets easier than ever before with a rating system that lets you know which tickets are a good deal and which tickets are a bad deal. If it's green, that's a banger. You're getting a good deal there. Red? Not so much. I've been using SeatGeek for years. It's simple, it's easy, and it's a surefire way to get the best deal for your tickets. Whether it's a concert, basketball game, football, baseball, festival, SeatGeek's got it all. Download the app, use promo code JXMY, and get $20 off your first order today. It's been a couple months since our last edition of NBA Hot Takes, so despite my head still reeling from our last batch, we've got some new scorchers to take a look at. You'd think I'd know better than to peer into the cold, soulless abyss of casual NBA fandom by now. But I'm sick. I can't help myself. And I've got nothing better to do. So here we are. Now this first one, some people are not going to be happy with. This NBA fan says, in terms of excitement, Steph is this generation's Jordan. And I agree. Steph may not be this generation's best player, but when it comes to drawing eyes and attention and putting on an absolute show, there's no one that does it like Stephen Curry. The deep threes, the antics, the fact that he's still on the same team that drafted him, it all adds to the Steph experience that fans across the globe love about watching him play. This man has kids on the other side of the planet rocking his jersey trying to knock down look-away threes. This relatively small, unassuming athlete who wasn't a superstar recruit, rising through the NBA ranks and winning titles amongst giants. How can you not love the guy? Is there anything as thrilling as watching Steph come down the court? Defense absolutely scrambling, trying, hoping they can stall the inevitable. But it's too late. Steph is pulling up from 30 feet, and the outcome is already set in stone.
Curry, long distance. Bang!
There's just nothing like it. The fans love Steph. He's the people's champ. And I agree that, in terms of excitement, he is this generation's Jordan. Now, with Nikola Jokic making a run for his third straight league MVP, the man is on track to making NBA history. But with all that success has come more scrutiny for his shortcomings. Some of these critiques are absolutely ridiculous, and some might be warranted. A couple days ago, Stephen A. Smith said that Jokic potentially winning back-to-back-to-back league MVPs, despite his lack of playoff success, is almost criminal, questioning the validity of his awards. And like many fans of the NBA, this guy feels that this criticism of Jokic isn't fair because he's always made the most of what he's been given in the playoffs year after year. And I understand this line of thinking. I mean, the MVP is a regular season award after all, so the playoffs really shouldn't be brought up in this discussion. But it is, and it always has been. Since the beginning of time, NBA fans have used the playoffs as a bit of a litmus test to try to validate or invalidate regular season MVPs. It's practically a rite of passage for any all-time great player. And Nikola Jokic should be no exception of this. Must we not forget, Giannis was getting eviscerated for coming up short in the postseason after winning back-to-back MVPs, or when people called LeBron a choke artist for winning 2 MVPs but failing to win a championship, or when Kobe was stiffed out of possibly multiple MVPs because the Lakers just weren't a real contender at the time. You can give me all the excuses in the world, and it won't really make a difference, because no other all-time great player was granted any excuses either. If a player wants to ascend to all-time great status, he will be held to an all-time great standard. The man is on track to winning his 3rd straight MVP, and he hasn't even made the NBA Finals. This is unprecedented. Now, is this criticism unjust? Maybe, but why should Jokic be spared from intense criticism when no other great player was? We've seen voter fatigue and narratives and postseason failures prevent countless players from winning the regular season MVP. Why is Jokic exempt from this same standard? Once a player receives a certain level of praise, no excuse will be sufficient in explaining why they haven't won a ring, or even come close for that matter. This is how it's always been, and I completely disagree with this take. Now, just a couple days ago, Damian Lillard put on an absolute clinic when he scored 71 points against the Rockets. 71 points. The man hit 13 threes and was a perfect 14 for 14 from the line. He did it all. I mean, this was a masterpiece from Dame. But leave it up to NBA fans to find the fault in this performance because, according to some fans, Dame's 71 points weren't all that impressive since he did it against one of the worst defensive teams in the league. You heard that correctly. Scoring 71 points in an NBA game is no longer impressive if you do it against a bad defensive team. And this take is so unhinged that I almost don't want to even address it. But I'm going to anyways. Now, I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret, but you can't tell anyone I told you this. Most big games throughout NBA history are against bad defensive teams. Surprise! Pretty crazy, right? Wilt's 100-point game in 1962 was against the Knicks, who were the second worst defensive team in the league at the time. Kobe Bryant's 81 in 2006 was against the Raptors, who were also the second worst defensive team in the league. And David Thompson's 73 in 1978 was against the Pistons, who were the ninth worst defensive team in the league at the time. In fact, this is the case with nearly every all-time big scoring night throughout NBA history. LeBron's career high was against the Bobcats, who were the worst defensive team in the league. Shaq's career high was against the Clippers, who were also the worst defensive team in the league. Steph's career high was against the third worst defensive team in the league, and Michael Jordan's career high was against the ninth worst defensive team in the league at the time. Even Donovan Mitchell's 71 earlier this season was against the fifth worst defense in the entire NBA. It's like some fans have to search for a reason to discredit some players. Dame could have scored 71 on the worst defensive team ever, and it still would have been an incredible accomplishment. You could put me in front of your local youth league championship team, and I couldn't score 71 points in 39 minutes. Every season, every single player gets a shot to go crazy on bad defensive teams. There has been thousands of opportunities for players to use these bad teams as their punching bag, and yet only 3 players have ever topped this 71-point explosion from Dame. This performance was historic, and this take is horrendous. Now, this fan here says Michael Jordan is sensitive, but he gets a pass because he's good at basketball. And I agree with half of this take. Michael Jordan was sensitive. People will excuse his behavior as competitive, but everyone in the NBA is competitive. Jordan couldn't take criticism whatsoever. In fact, his famous quote is literally a statement of how things people did and said about him really got to him. But he didn't get a pass just because he was good at basketball. He gets a pass because every time someone pissed him off, he always went out and proved them wrong. They said Clyde Drexler was his equal. He didn't like that, and so he went out and stomped the man in the NBA Finals. They said he wasn't as good when he came back from his first retirement, so he added that to his list of reasons to be an absolute menace and three-peated for the second time. You can be as sensitive as you want if you back it up. I think most NBA fans would consider Kevin Durant sensitive, but if he followed up his tweets with more championships and absolute dominance over the NBA for the rest of his career, those tweets would be an afterthought. Now, our last take is a scorcher, and not even for a split second does it add up in any way, shape, or form. This NBA fan says, "Back then, we used to celebrate three-peats. Now kids are out here celebrating 4 titles in 10 tries and call it greatness." This is so f***ing stupid. Now clearly, this is referring to LeBron James. To which I genuinely ask this fan, and fans who think like this, do you really think LeBron's career hasn't been great? I mean, really? Is it possible that we can celebrate any ring that any player wins at any time? Or has the bar been established so high that if you aren't three-peating, it isn't truly greatness? Alright everyone, new rule. No celebrating rings or titles or MVPs or big or small successes anymore. We are only celebrating three-peats. Dirk's ring wasn't great. The bum only won 1 in 21 years. Boston's ring in 08, worthless. Raptors in 2019, bums. Bucks in 2021, Giannis and the gang, bums. We don't celebrate that. Get that out of here. I just can't believe some fans actually think like this. I mean, according to this logic, no one in the entire NBA right now should be celebrated. We need to drop this whole rings or bust discourse altogether. It's just silly, and it's a bad faith argument to discredit really awesome players. In fact, this same fan goes on to share posts celebrating the greatness of players like Damian Lillard and John Stockton, who've never won a ring. And most ironic of all, this fan goes on to say that the '89 Cleveland Cavaliers were the greatest team in franchise history, literally describing a team that was bounced out of the first round of the playoffs as the greatest. So not only is this line of thinking flat out wrong, it's disingenuous. A player doesn't need to pull off the greatest feat in the history of the game to be great. Greatness comes in many different shapes and forms, and apparently, so do takes on the NBA. And unfortunately, that's all the racking my brain can handle in one sitting. But y'all know the drill. Leave a comment with your hottest NBA take. The hotter, the better. Or worse. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time.